From the three martini lunch / Mad Men vibes to Animal House style frat parties to the craft beer movement to that glass of Chardonnay. Drinking trends are culturally and socially constantly evolving, but the latest fad may actually be abstaining. A survey from market research firm NCS shows that nearly half of Americans plan to drink less this year. A Gallup poll shows less than 40% of young adults are regular drinkers, a change from 20 years ago when young people were the most likely to drink alcohol regularly. So how does this trend impact Austin's vibrant local restaurant scene? For more on that, we are joined by Arjav Ezekiel. He is the beverage director and co-owner of Birdie's, an award-winning local restaurant. And speaking of awards, Ezekiel is nominated for the James Beard Award for Outstanding Beverage Service. That's a huge honor. Arjav, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's such a treat to be here. Absolutely.
So first, let's start with what we have here. Can you please explain to us what this is? And it's your signature as well.
Yeah, this is what we like to call a Birdie's soda. We change our sodas all the time. This is a soda made with citrus, so orange peel, lemon peel, rosemary, and salt. We add a little sugar, make a little simple syrup, add a little lemon juice and some soda water, and it's kind of like our version of lemonade for the summer.
I love it. A non-boozy lemonade for adults, and now we must put it to the test.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Okay, cheers. There we go. That is really good.
Good, I'm glad you like it.
I like that. I would order that regardless if I was not drinking alcohol or drinking alcohol. I think I would still order that. That is really refreshing. And Arjav, we were talking about this, but dinner and drinks, right? It's so much a part of the social scene in Austin. Couples, friends, it's really hard to not feel excluded if everyone else is drinking around you and you're deciding not to drink for whatever reason. What kind of trends are you noticing among your customers when it comes to the not drinking movement?
I think, for me, it's like a little hard to call it a full movement yet. I think what we see, though, is that like part of all great restaurants, you want to be as inclusive of a restaurant as you can possibly be. And we're a wine bar primarily, and we have a huge wine list. We have 350 to 400 different bottles on the list at any given point. And we wanted a non-alcoholic list that reflected that too. So my dad doesn't drink, and when we go to restaurants, he's often left with just one option, maybe a Coke or a sparkling water, and I wanted to create a non-alcoholic list that he would really enjoy. So we start off with what we call an apéro category, which is basically like an aperitif. We have really fun juices from around the world. We have this really cool non-alcoholic pear cider right now, made by one of the great cider makers of the world. We make our own sodas in-house, and then we have some bitter drinks at the end of the meal to help settle your stomach after a big meal.
Wow, you clearly have so many options, and now I'm like getting thirsty. I need to have another sip of this. So you guys are ready for all these customers to come in if they're deciding not to drink. And we talked about this a bit before, but sometimes just the act of holding something in your hand, right? Even if you're just milling about the room.
Absolutely.
So what do you expect being in the restaurant scene? What do you expect of this trend? Are you the only restaurant in town that's responding to this in this way, would you say?
I don't think so. I think there's, most restaurants now have a non-alcoholic selection of some sort. I think Birdie's maybe has gone the most head in some ways. We have the longest list, I think, of anybody I've seen in town. But I think for us, because beverage is such a big part of what Birdie's is, my wife Tracy is the chef there. She does all the cooking. I try and match the wine list and the non-alcoholic list to what she's cooking based on the seasons. And I think it's really important for us to have breadth and choice. Because I maybe want something a little bit different when I'm waiting in line to eat at Birdie's than when I sit down and have my first bite of deviled egg versus what I want with, the smoked fish dish that I'm eating last. So, for us, it's all grounded in the food that Tracy's cooking, and we're always thinking about how beverage can be almost like the condiment to the food. It's not unlike the ketchup on your burger.
Yeah.
It adds a little sweetness and a little acidity. We think a little bit about our beverage program the same way.
It's a quintessential part of the dining and meal experience for sure. And speaking of that, you guys have this amazing nomination for a James Beard Award for beverage service, and that's actually new. I know that was the first time I'd ever heard of an award like that. Can you talk about what that meant to you?
I mean, it means so much. You know what? I've dedicated my entire career to the dining room and the business, and it's incredible, not just for me, but for our entire dining room team to be acknowledged in this way. We were the only nominee in Austin, and I think that was a really special moment for our entire beverage team, our entire dining room team, and quite frankly, even the kitchen team. Tracy was a nominee last year for Outstanding Chef in Texas, and it's cool to have both the kitchen and the dining room acknowledged in back-to-back years. It makes us feel like we're doing something that's meaningful to our industry.
Absolutely, and I'm sure on behalf of the sober community or the sober curious community, they're really excited, and it means a lot to them to have something that makes them feel included. And we want to say, once again, congratulations on the James Beard nomination. If you haven't been to Birdie's, you've got to get there and try this adult lemonade. I love that. We're hearkening back to our childhoods here. Arjab, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment below to let us know your thoughts on this video. And don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Austin Insight for free in the PBS app.